Hello and welcome back, and in this video I'll take a look at the graphical user interface of Revit, right? So this is a very important lecture, do not skip this, watch till the end, right? So first thing is the quick access toolbar. So this is the quick access toolbar and this is an icon, and we have seen this in the lecture called home screen, right? And when I click this, it will take me to the home screen, or when I click it back, it will take me to the file location, the project file that we are currently working in, or it will take me to the particular workspace, like this is the workspace. And then there's something called open. You can use control shortcut called control D, and then save the window shortcut called control S, and then the synchronize. We talk about this a little later, and you can undo this and redo this, typically any software, and you can print them, and this is the distance measurement between two references, and this is the annotation or the aligned dimension, and this is a tag or a call out. So we'll be talking about this in much detail, and this is the text, and this is the 3D view. This is pretty much an important thing. Say for example, I'll open the floor plan of this diagram. I'll zoom it much larger, and I'll close the 3D. I can open the 3D by going to this thing called 3D view, and I can click any one of the 3D view, or I can simply click on this particular the perspective view of the 3D view. Probably it will take some time. Yeah, you see we have generated the 3D diagram, right? And you can even click this dialog box to see there's another thing called camera walkthrough, and we'll take a look at that in much detail in the subsequent lectures. But these are the different things, and this is the section, and this is the line width or thickness or thin lines and something like that. And this is the choose inactive views, and whichever view is inactive. Say for example, I'm gonna click this, and that inactive view, which is the floor plan view, gets taken away from our workspace. I'm gonna go to that one more time, so I need that for the demonstration. Or if you want to retain all the views, and you can dog or go navigate from one view to another, you can use the switch view. Say I'm currently in level 1 floor plan. If I want to go to 3-dimensional view, I'll click this and I can select that particular thing. So if you have multiple projects or projects with a lot of family files, you can navigate between them, right? So that's the one of the important thing. And this is drop down. So in this case, I've almost selected everything. Say for example, I don't need measure or something, then I exclude that by clicking this, so that the tick icon is gone, and then you can see there isn't any measure. Say for example, this dimensioning I don't want, then I can click on this thing, align dimension, and it'll go. If I wanted to bring it back, then I can click on that, and you can see that's coming in, right? And say for example, I click everything, but in this case the default new is not checked here. Since you can go to that by file, you can click that in this case by file and open new and so on. So I leave it blank, or if I want to have it, like I can use that. By then the number of icons exist more, so it will go down, right? So this switch windows has gone down, and then this particular thing has come. Or I can, for example, I don't want the measure, so you can see it's aligned perfectly now, right? So this is so important. And before explaining this ribbon, there is one important thing that you can see. My screen is pretty small. I've used a laptop with just 15-inch, right? In case you work with workstation, the screen will be a little bigger, say 21 to 24 inches and so on. And if you use extensional monitor, then it will can go more, so that your workspace is bigger, higher in terms of viewing, right? But since mine is pretty compact, say if I zoom in further, and some of the things gets cut, I feel this is pretty much a comfortable view. To have even more space, you can use this particular thing, right? So this is to minimize the tab, right? So first I just click on the minimize tab, right? So the tabs gets minimized. Or if I want to minimize the panel, right, so this gets going, And then I want to minimize panel to buttons, so this is something like pretty much a common thing, right? I got a good working space here, right? So I'm gonna leave it to the default at that moment, right? Why? So this is something that you should know at the beginner level. Why? Then it's pretty important. It's called file. This is predominantly a common in any Windows software, and you can see the recent documents that I opened. This is demo project, sample project. These are the the sample file, Revit file, and this are the sample family files and so on. Probably you can refresh our video. You can refresh, you can go to our videos that we talked about the recent file sections in the home screen, right? And then save as. You can see, you can save a cloud model or a project cannot be saved as family and vice versa, right? And then templates and library, right, and so on. And you can even export it to wide variety of stuffs like CAD, PDF, then DWF and GMXML and IFC. This is a very important thing. We'll talk about this in much detail, and you can even talk about other things like animations and image reports and options and so on. Right? And then we can even print this, and you can probably close this for a moment. Right? There's something called options. We'll be talking about options in much detail when we work with the the user interfaces or something like that. And we also look into the graphics, the availability and the hardware and file location where I save my file, and then rendering, the spell checks, steering wheels and view cubes. This is a view cube and this is a steering wheel, and then macros if you're interested in writing a macro for this and something like that, right? So we'll talk about that in the advanced version, advanced concept, right? So I'm going to close this for a moment and click cancel. And then architecture, this is having an architectural, how to create an architectural wall, doors. I will be talking about that in much detail in the subsequent lectures. Understand that all these things are pretty much an important stuff to create an architectural model. This is a unified model actually, which has got almost everything: architectural, structural, and MEP, right? Then structure, this is the structural components like footing, slabs, reinforcement, connections, and so many other different things. And steel and precast are pretty new thing that they have introduced. This is one of the important thing that you should consider in the advanced versions. This was not there in the earlier versions of Revit, the older versions of Revit. But steel connections and precast connections, precast reinforcement and something like that. And systems is MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. That is why we call Revit Autodesk Revit unified software. Now it has got almost everything. Inserts, then if you want to link Revit file, CAD file, and you want to have a topography file and so on, or you can even look for annotations. And in this case, insert load family, this is where we'll be incorporating the family files, right? So we'll be talking about that in much detail. Next is annotation or dimensioning. You can talk about aligned, angular, radial, and so many different things. And tags or callouts, text and spellings, and we'll be seeing that in much detail. I'm giving a quick overview of this. Then analyze, you can do a structural analysis, and you can even do an energy analysis and so on, right? This is typically the energy optimization or something like that, and reports and schedules. Massing and site is topography and landscaping, creating the curtain wall systems and facades and louvers. We'll be talking about massing in much detail in these lectures later part of this course. Then collaborate, this is also a pretty important thing, like work sharing, monitor. Collaborative management is very important nowadays. Like people who does business have got multifarious locations or the job locations, but they cannot go to many places, but instead they can monitor it from a remote or in a parent location or something like that. Right. So then we talk about views. Just kindly pay attention to this, like whenever people open or install Revit and then open, sometimes this properties and project browser may not be there, like, so they have probably this, but those two are very important that we'll be discussing that in the subsequent lectures. But if it is not there, do not worry. Like, you can go to this view and user interface, and you can bring back the project browser as well as the properties, right? So these two things you can always bring it back, right? So do not worry if your software does not, I mean once you install it and your software does not have these things, right? So this is all about views, like 3D view, the same replica of this, right? And then tags, sections, you can see this particular thing, and then you can render this particular image and something like that. And then we'll go to manage, or this is pretty much a switch window, we talked about that. And tiles view, we can see both in a fashion. I'm not pretty much interested, I'm interested in the tab view, right? And then manage, you can create materials and design options and something like that. We'll be discussing that in much detail. Then add-ins, where you can create add-in, and also you can import add-ins, and if you download add-ins, and that will be here, right? So whichever is compatible with Revit, and that add-in will be here, right? And then modify is actually the the working thing, like you can mirror them, you can rotate them, you can move them and create an aligned stuff, and so on. So this thing we'll discuss in much detail, right? Something like that, cut, copy, paste, and all other things, right? And then we'll come back to this is the workspace, and we have done this in detail. And finally we will be coming back to this a little later. And this bottom one talks about the units. I'm gonna see this is in scale, right? Then it is all about the coarse, medium, and fine gradient. And then this is very important. Say for example, I want to look into the wireframe model, it will be in a wireframe model. And then if I want to have realistic model, then it will come back to this realistic model. Or something called consistent color, I can even talk about that. You see, it will give me something like cartoon kind of thing, like the gradients. I want to have it a realistic. You see, the surfaces are not pretty realistic, so I'll go back to the realistic once again, right? And then sun path, then the shadows and other rendering stuffs and all were there. And you can even see cropped view and unlock a 3D view, temporary hide or something like that, objects, and so on. Like these are the different things that there, right? And then here we have got select links, then select underlay elements and pin the particular thing. We'll be doing this when we create families and filter elements for the larger projects or something like that, fine. So this is a quick overview of the graphical user interface of Revit. I hope you really enjoyed this video. In the subsequent lecture, we'll be taking a look at the Revit in an advanced level, right? So we'll start creating the diagrams from the scratch, and we'll carry forward. See you then. Bye bye.